sun is setting now, behind the mountains, casting long shadows across the valley below. You can hear nothing but the wind, moving through the pine trees, a soft, constant whisper that has been there all day and will be there all night. This is a place where time moves differently, where the hours stretch out like the shadows, long and unhurried. There is no electricity here, no hum of refrigerators, no glow of screens, no sudden interruptions, just the mountain, the cabin, and the quiet. Today has been a slow day, the kind of day where nothing remarkable happens, and that is exactly the point. Let me tell you about this day from beginning to end in all its ordinary, unremarkable, peaceful detail. The morning began, as mornings do here, with the gradual arrival of light. Not sudden light, not the harsh click of a lamp, but the slow, gentle creeping of dawn through the small cabin windows. The cabin is simple, made of wood, logs stacked carefully many years ago by someone who understood that simplicity is enough. There are 4 rooms, a main room with a wood stove, a small kitchen area, a bedroom, and a storage room that smells of old wool blankets and dried herbs. The floors are wooden, uneven in places, worn smooth by decades of footsteps, each plank telling a quiet story of the people who walked here before. This morning, the first task was to start the fire. The wood stove sits in the corner of the main room, black iron, heavy, reliable. Opening the stove door, there are still a few embers from last night's fire, glowing faintly, orange and patient. Adding small pieces of kindling, dried twigs collected yesterday from beneath the pine trees, where they fall and wait to be useful. The kindling catches slowly a small flame, then another, growing gradually without hurry. Then larger pieces of wood, split logs, stacked neatly beside the stove, each one placed carefully to allow air to feed the flame. The fire grows, but not quickly. It takes time, perhaps 10 minutes, perhaps 15. Time measured not by clocks, but by the gradual warmth spreading through the room. While the fire builds, there is water to fetch. The well is outside, 20 paces from the cabin door. A simple stone well with a wooden bucket and a rope, worn soft from use. The bucket descends. You can hear it, the rope sliding through your hands, the distant splash as it meets the water below. Then, pulling it up, hand over hand, the weight of the water, steady, predictable, the rope creaking slightly against the wooden pulley. The water is cold, clear, mountain water, filtered through layers of rock, pure and tasteless. Carrying the bucket back inside, careful not to spill. The water sloshes gently with each step. Pour some into the kettle, a cast iron kettle dented in one spot from being dropped years ago, but still functional, still perfect. The kettle goes onto the wood stove, and now there is nothing to do but wait, waiting for water to boil. Without electricity is different. There is no timer, no beep, no sudden whistle yet, just the gradual heating, the first tiny bubbles forming at the bottom of the kettle, rising slowly, disappearing, forming again. While waiting, there is time to simply sit, a wooden chair by the window, worn smooth, comfortable in its simplicity. Through the window, the mountains are visible, layers of them receding into the distance, each layer a slightly different shade of blue. fading into the morning mist. The nearest mountain is covered in pine tree, dark green, almost black in the early light. The trees standing silent, waiting as they have waited for hundreds of years. Between the trees, occasionally, a deer might pass, moving slowly, browsing, unaware, or perhaps completely aware of being watched. But this morning, no deer, just the trees and the light, changing minute by minute, so gradually you barely notice until suddenly you realize it is brighter than it was. The kettle begins, finally, to hiss, softly at first, then louder, the water inside, rolling, bubbling, steam rising from the spout. Tea is simple. Dried herbs collected last summer, chamomile, mint, lemon balm, stored in glass jars in the cupboard. The cupboard is old, the wood dark, the hinges slightly rusty, but the door still closes, still keeps the herbs dry. Taking a pinch of dried chamomile, the flowers crumble between your fingers, releasing a faint scent, sweet, calming, into a cup, chipped at the rim, but still perfectly good, still holding water, still serving its purpose, pouring the hot water over the herbs, watching them swirl, then settle slowly to the bottom. The tea steeps, and again, there is time to wait. 5 minutes, or 7, or 10. It doesn't matter. There is no rush. Sitting again by the window, holding the warm cup, feeling the heat through the ceramic, warming your hands. The first sip is hot, almost too hot, so you wait a moment longer, then try again. The taste is gentle, floral, with the faintest hint of mint from where the herbs grew, side by side, in the summer garden, outside. The morning is fully arrived now, the sun visible above the far mountains, casting golden light across the valley, illuminating the tops of trees, while the valley below remains in shadow. Birds are singing somewhere distant, their calls echoing softly between the mountains. Breakfast will be simple oatmeal cooked slowly on the wood stove. The oats are stored in a large ceramic jar in the kitchen, scooped out with a wooden spoon, measured by feel rather than precision, into a small pot. The oats, then water from the bucket, and a pinch of salt from the salt cellar, a small wooden box that sits by the stove. The pot goes onto the stove, where the fire has settled into steady coals, glowing red, radiating heat, stirring occasionally with the wooden spoon, watching the oats absorb the water, swell, soften, gradually becoming creamy. The process takes perhaps 20 minutes or more, time measured by the consistency, by the slow transformation of hard grains into soft porridge. While cooking, there is time to think about nothing or everything or something in between. Time to watch the play of light on the wall where the morning sun filters through the cabin window. Time to listen to the fire crackling quietly, occasionally popping as pockets of sap heat and burst. The oatmeal is ready, served into a wooden bowl, smooth from years of use, the grain visible, swirling patterns in the wood, a spoonful of honey collected last fall from the beekeeper down in the valley, thick, golden, slow moving from the jar. The honey spirals into the oatmeal, forming patterns that disappear as you stir, eating slowly, each spoonful warm, sweet, simple. There is no need to rush, no No schedule, no place to be. Just this bowl, this moment, this quiet morning after breakfast, washing the bowl and the pot and the spoon with water heated on the stove, poured into a basin with a few shavings of soap. The soap is homemade, rough cut, fragrant with lavender, made by a neighbor, traded for vegetables last autumn, washing by hand, feeling the warm water, the slickness of soap, rinsing with clean water, drying with a cloth worn soft from hundreds of washings, then hanging the cloth on a hook by the window where it will dry slowly in the warm air rising from the stove. The middle of the day arrives without announcement. No clock chimes, no alarm sounds, just the sun, now high above the mountains, shining down directly into the valley. The cabin is warm now from the fire, from the sunshine, a comfortable warmth that makes you slightly sleepy. There are tasks, small tasks, the kind that fill the day without demanding much. The garden needs attention. Behind the cabin, a small plot, fenced with rough wooden rails to keep the deer out, mostly successfully. In summer, this garden produces tomatoes, beans, lettuce, carrots, potatoes, squash. Now, in this season, the main task is simply maintenance. Walking to the garden, the path is worn, smooth dirt, a few stones pressed into the earth, marking the way. The garden gate creaks slightly when opened, the hinges old but still functional. Inside the garden, the earth is dark, rich, from years of compost, of leaves, of kitchen scraps. Return to the soil. Weeding is the main task. Kneeling on the ground, feeling the earth, cool through your knees, pulling weeds slowly, one at a time. Each weed comes out with its roots, trailing dirt which falls back to the ground. Some weeds come easily, others resist, requiring patience, working the soil loose around the roots until finally they release. There is no hurry. Pulling weeds is meditative, repetitive. Your hands moving automatically while your mind drifts. Perhaps thinking about nothing, perhaps noticing the texture of leaves, the small insects moving through the soil, the way the sun warms your back. An hour passes, or two, measured only by the slowly growing pile of pulled weeds beside you. The weeds will dry in the sun, then be added to the compost pile behind the shed, where they will slowly, over months, become soil again. When the weeding is done, there is water to carry from the well to the garden, the same bucket, the same rope, the same 20 paces, lowering the bucket, hearing the splash, pulling up, hand over hand, the water sloshing, carrying it carefully to the garden, pouring it around the base of each plant. The water soaks in, disappearing into the thirsty earth, darkening the soil. 3 trips, 4 trips, 5 trips to the well and back until each plant has been watered. Your arms are tired now, pleasantly tired, the kind of tired that comes from useful work. Back inside the cabin, the fire has died down to embers again. Adding another log, watching it catch, slowly beginning to burn. Lunchtime, though time is approximate here, measured by hunger rather than clocks. Bread, baked yesterday in the cast iron pot, nestled in the coals of the fire. The bread is dense, hearty, made with whole grain flour ground at the mill down in the valley. Slicing the bread with a knife, sharp, well maintained, the blade cutting through the thick crust, revealing the soft interior, cheese stored in the cool cellar beneath the cabin where the temperature stays constant, wrapped in cloth, aging slowly. The cheese is sharp, crumbly, with small crystals that crunch slightly between your teeth. Bread and cheese and an apple. From the root cellar, slightly wrinkled now, but still crisp, still sweet. Eating at the wooden table, sitting in the chair, looking out the window at nothing in particular. The meal is quiet, peaceful, sufficient. After lunch, there is time for rest. The bedroom is small, the bed simple, a wooden frame, a mattress filled with wool, heavy quilts made by hand, stitched together from scraps of fabric, each square, a different pattern, a different color, lying down on top of the quilts. The room slightly cool, comfortable, the windows open, just slightly, letting in fresh air, carrying the scent of pine, of earth, of mountain. Closing your eyes, listening to the sounds of the cabin, the wood settling, tiny creaks as the logs expand and contract with temperature changes, the wind moving through the trees, outside a constant rushing whisper. Somewhere distant, a bird calls once, twice, then silent. Your breathing slows, deepens, matching the rhythm of the quiet afternoon. Sleep comes easily, without effort. A brief nap, drifting, floating, peaceful, waking later. The sun has moved, the light different, more golden, more angular. The afternoon is passing slowly, as afternoons do here. There is wood to split. Behind the cabin, the woodshed stacked with logs, some split, some still whole. The splitting stump is old, scarred with hundreds of axe marks, centered and off-centered, each mark a record of wood split years ago. Placing a log upright on the stump, stepping back, raising the axe. The axe is heavy, the handle smooth, worn to the shape of hands that have held it for decades. Swinging down, the blade bites into the wood, sometimes splitting it clean, sometimes lodging halfway, requiring another strike. The wood splits with a satisfying crack, the two halves falling away to either side. Pick them up, stack them, place another log, swing, crack, split, stack, again and again. The rhythm hypnotic, repetitive, your body moving automatically. The pile of split wood grows slowly. Each piece will burn sometime in the future, providing warmth, cooking meals, boiling water. But that is later. For now, it is simply wood being split, added to the pile. After an hour or more, the work is done. Enough wood split for now. Your arms ache pleasantly. Your back is warm from exertion, from the afternoon sun. Back inside, washing hands in the basin. The water cool now, refreshing. Drinking water from a cup, straight from the bucket, cold, pure, quenching. The afternoon is fading now, the light becoming softer, more amber. Time for the evening meal to begin preparation. Evening arrives gently here in the mountains. There is no sudden switch from day to night, but rather a gradual dimming, a softening of light. The sun is moving down toward the western mountains, the sky turning shades of orange, pink, deepening to purple inside the cabin. Shadows are growing, longer, darker, pooling in corners. Time to prepare dinner. The meal will be simple, as all meals are here. Potatoes from the root cellar, dusty, irregular, imperfect. Washing them in the basin, the water turning cloudy, revealing the pale skin beneath. Cutting them into chunks, the knife moving steadily, pieces falling into the pot. Carrots, also from the cellar, still firm, sweet, peeling them, the outer skin, coming away in long curls, revealing the bright orange beneath, slicing them, adding them to the pot. With the potatoes, an onion, papery skin removed, the layers beneath, tight, translucent, chopping, slowly, carefully, the sharp scent rising, making eyes water slightly. The onion pieces go into the pot, along with water from the bucket, and salt, and dried herbs hanging from the rafters, oregano, thyme, bay leaf. The pot goes onto the stove, where the fire has been fed again, burning steadily, now again, the waiting, sitting, in the growing dimness, watching the last light fade from the sky, the mountains, silhouettes now, black against the deep blue sky, stars beginning to appear, one, then another, then suddenly hundreds, thousands, the Milky Way, a river of light, flowing across the darkness, without electricity, without light pollution. The stars are overwhelming, magnificent, ancient light, traveling for years, centuries, to reach this place, this moment. The soup cooks slowly, the vegetables softening, the broth becoming flavorful, rich, stirring occasionally, tasting, adjusting, a bit more salt, another herb. When it is ready, ladling it into a bowl, the steam rising, carrying the scent of comfort, of home. Eating by the light of the fire, and one candle placed on the table. The candle flame flickers slightly in the draft, casting moving shadows on the walls. The soup is hot, nourishing, each spoonful warming you from the inside. Bread, again, to dip into the broth, soaking up the flavor, eating slowly, savoring, not watching anything, not reading anything, just eating and being present. After dinner, washing the dishes, again, by firelight, by candlelight, the warm water, the soap, the simple motions, washing, rinsing, drying, putting everything away in its place, the bowl, the pot, the spoon, banking the fire for the night, pushing the coals together, adding one large log that will burn slowly, keeping some warmth through the night, closing the stove door, the fire visible through the grate, glowing red, pulsing slightly. The evening is quiet now, sitting in the chair, by the fire, wrapped in a blanket. There is nothing to do, no tasks remaining, no obligations, just sitting, watching the fire, listening to the silence outside. Occasionally, an owl calls, low, haunting, beautiful. The wind has died down to almost nothing, just a whisper. Now and then, the cabin is warm, the fire radiating heat, spreading through the room. Your eyes feel heavy from the day's gentle labor, from the warmth, from the peacefulness. Perhaps reading for a while, a book, old, the pages yellowed, the binding worn. Reading by candlelight, slowly, eyes moving over familiar words, not rushing, not trying to finish, just reading for the pleasure of reading. The candle burns down slowly, the wax pooling around the wick, Time for bed. The candle is blown out, a thin stream of smoke rising, the smell of beeswax lingering. The fire is checked one last time, still burning, still glowing, safe behind the iron door, walking to the bedroom in darkness, knowing the way by feel, by memory. The floorboards creak softly under your feet, familiar sounds, comforting sounds, changing into night clothes, soft, worn, comfortable, climbing into bed between the cool sheets, pulling the heavy quilts up to your chin. The pillow is soft, filled with down, molding to the shape of your head. Outside, the night is deep, dark, silent. Inside, the cabin settles, tiny sounds as the day ends and the night begins. Your breathing deepens, slows, your body relaxing completely. The bed is comfortable, the room is dark, the mountain is quiet. Sleep comes naturally, inevitably, like the night itself. And tomorrow will be another day, much like this one. Slow, simple, peaceful. But that is tomorrow, and tomorrow is far away. For now, there is only this moment, this breath, this deep, quiet rest. The night is very dark now. Hours have passed since you fell asleep. The cabin is silent. The fire has burned down, almost completely, just the faintest glow of embers, barely visible. Outside, the mountains are invisible, merged with the darkness, indistinguishable from the sky. The stars continue their slow rotation across the heavens, marking time in the only way that matters here. Inside the bedroom, you are deeply asleep, breathing slowly, peacefully. The quilts are heavy, warm, cocooning. Your body is completely relaxed, every muscle loose, soft. There are no sounds except occasionally the settling of the cabin, a tiny creak so small it doesn't wake you. The wind has stopped completely. The trees are still, the mountain is still, everything is still. Time passes, unmeasured, unnoticed. An hour, or 2, or 3. It doesn't matter. There is no alarm set, no reason to wake, no place to be. Just sleep. Deep, dreamless, restorative. The darkness is complete, total, perfect. The silence is vast, peaceful, unbroken. Your breathing continues, steady, rhythmic, like waves on a distant shore. In and out, in and out. So slow, so steady, so peaceful. The cabin protects you. The mountains surround you. The night holds you. There is nothing to worry about, nothing to think about, nothing to do but sleep. And sleep is easy here, natural, inevitable. The night continues, stretching out endlessly, peacefully, and you continue sleeping deeply, safely, completely at rest. Hours pass like minutes, or minutes like hours. Time has no meaning in this deep darkness. Eventually, imperceptibly, the darkness begins to change. Not yet lighter, but less dense, less absolute. The very first hint of dawn, still hours away, but coming slowly, inevitably. But you don't notice because you are sleeping. Sleeping deeply, peacefully, wrapped in darkness, wrapped in silence, wrapped in the perfect quiet of the mountain night. And this deep sleep, this perfect rest, this is exactly what you need. So continue sleeping, continue resting. There is no need to wake, no need to move. Just sleep. Deep, peaceful, restorative sleep. The mountain stands guard. The cabin keeps you warm. The night keeps you safe. And you simply sleep.